Okay, hello and welcome to the video. My name is Wade Daniel Smith, and this video is entitled Why I Don't Actually Mind Being a Celibate or Involuntary Celibate Man. First of all, I've been horrendously and for no good reason whatsoever attacked, falsely accused, repeatedly, and otherwise backstabbed by women several times much earlier in my adult life, ranging from, teenage years all the way up to 29 years old was the last major time it happened. But, uh, and it's stupid stuff that couldn't possibly be my fault, such as my former church friends suddenly turning on me and falsely accusing me and my family of all sorts of evil things that they couldn't possibly know, and that my family certainly did not do wrong. And they specifically falsely accused my mother and father, whom they had never even met before in their lives. And all four of my church friends at the Christian church I was attending at the time, which was, by the way, Family Worship Center, and one of whom was the assistant youth pastor of the church at the time, turned on me and started falsely accusing me of every wrong thing under the sun that I had never done, and of my parents and so forth. And they spent about an hour falsely accusing me, and I said bye, and I shouldn't have ever gone back. I did go back 2 times that I can remember, though, but I shouldn't even have gone back those 2 times. But one of them I actually had a dream about, in which God warned me about her, that part of it was a rebuke of me making an idol out of her because she was an incredibly attractive woman. And at the time, we were friends, and I thought that there was some connection there. And there kind of was on 1 or 2 days where she might have been thinking about me that way. And I was definitely thinking about her that way. And I was like, how do I explain to her that I would like to date her and not just be a casual friend to her? Because I don't know if she was really thinking about me that way or not. Well, God warned me in a dream that something was going to happen, and the very next day it happened, and she backstabbed a total of 7 men, including me, in the same church within the same day. And it hurt like hell when I realized what the dream meant. And the dream perfectly foretold what was about to happen. And right down to her very words were spoken to me in the dream by her in a symbolic form. The exact same words that would come out of her mouth that would lead to a confusing situation that would then horrendously hurt myself and 7 other men in the church. So I don't entirely mind being a celibate man because I've been hurt by one too many women to even pretty much give a damn about women anymore. Uh, while I was attending a community college one time, I got falsely accused of criminal stalking by as many as 6 women. And the only thing that happened is the day that this incident happened, I had a terrible headache, and I walked out of college after the day was done. And one of the women had previously parked in the parking space that I had parked in for the entire previous week. And she had a white vehicle, and I had a white vehicle. And I instinctively walked back with a headache to my parking spot that I had been used to parking at every day. And what do you know? It was the wrong vehicle that I was standing by when people walked out and saw me standing next to the wrong vehicle. And I realized I was standing next to the wrong vehicle. And I was like, oh crap, I parked over there this time because she parked in the wrong place today. Or rather, I parked in the wrong place because she had already been parking in the exact same spot that I had previously been parking in for the previous 2 weeks. So, and she was married, And when they saw that I accidentally went to the wrong car, they all conspired against me and falsely filed police reports against me of felony stalking this woman and following her home, which I absolutely did not do. And I had video evidence that I was nowhere near where they claimed I was when I was allegedly following her home. Because I told the police I was at the Wendy's eating a sandwich and that they could check the closed loop video on at the Wendy's. And sure enough, they did, and that's where I was. Well, the dean, she filed a complaint with the dean because the police didn't do anything to me because the police knew I didn't do it then. The dean kicked me out of the school, and I tried to get a lawyer, and I couldn't find a lawyer to take the case because they said that nobody would believe me and no jury would take my side with 6 women falsely testifying against me. And that is the God's honest truth of what happened. That 6 of them filed false police reports against me on the same day. And I'm going to say the same thing to my grave. There is one person who is going to be judge, jury, and executioner one day, and that is God Almighty. And I did not do any of the things they falsely accused me of. Had straight A's in the school. Matter of fact, I helped teach the computer science class. There's got to be some truth to the story of Adam and Eve in the Bible, that Eve deceived Adam about where the fruit came from somehow and convinced Adam to eat from the tree. And elsewhere in the Bible, it indicates that women are more to blame for evil in the world than men, such as, for example, in the book of, well, I believe that's Numbers also, where it tells you that a woman is evaluated at 30 shekels and a man is evaluated at 50 shekels. God himself actually puts a lower value on women, according to the book anyway, because they are deceivers. And the only thing I did wrong at that school was signing up for it in the first place. I should have done something else at that time and place in my life. I was 29 years old. I didn't do anything wrong to those women. But I broke a certain wisdom principle. Don't put yourself in a compromised situation. I was in 2 of the classes. I was the only man in the room with about 20 women, and something was bound to go wrong. Don't put yourself in compromising situations, man. And even in the New Testament of the Bible, not that I like quoting the New Testament, but when it's true, it's true. Paul tells you that it's good for a man not to marry because a person who is not married can concentrate on God, whereas a person who's married has to live up to whatever foolishness the other spouse wants out of them, including breaking God's commandments. I'm going to use my own grandparents as an example on my mother's side of the family. My grandmother went to church usually twice a week, every week. All right. And my grandfather never went to church except for weddings and funerals. and he cussed God up and down one side and down the other. Every other word that came out of his mouth was GD this and GD that and GD this and GD that. And if you pointed out to him that he was going to bust hell wide open for doing that, he'd say it one more time just to see if it made it faster. She had no business marrying him, and he had no business marrying her. Of course, I wouldn't exist if that hadn't happened, but that's just the God's honest truth. That she claimed to believe in God, and she married a man who cursed God every other word out of his mouth for his entire life, for the entire 40-something years that they were married. Matter of fact, I never knew him to go more than 2 or 3 sentences in a row without cursing God. So in that case, that was his fault. That's a case of it being the man's fault, isn't it? But I'm just giving you an example that marriage isn't always a good idea. They didn't belong together. And it's a really bad idea for men to get married in the United States right now anyway, because women have all the rights. They can murder your baby, and you have no right to say anything against, no legal right in this country anyway to say anything against it. The woman can murder your baby just out of meanness, and you can't do anything about it. So if you're a man, I would advise you not to get married and do not have sex with a woman. Don't have sex with a man either, but do not get married because you have no rights in marriage. A man doesn't. A woman has all the power now. That's the American legal system. That's not God's system. Because in the Bible, the woman was created for the man, not the other way around. I know at most only 1 or 2 people are going to watch this video, but maybe 1 or 2 people will be enlightened by this video, and that's why I do this. Because very few of my videos get watched by more than 1 or 2 people. And oh, by the way, I do remember my grandmother cursed God almost as often as my grandfather, so she wasn't a saint going to church twice a week. And I'll end with that.